So first and foremost, I want to thank you for jumping on here tonight. I want to thank you for your time, energy, effort over the course of the next 2 months, 2.5 months. It's when coaching, a lot of you have coached, some of you have coached for a really long time. Some of you are just starting out coaching. You know, when you're coaching, I think sometimes the fruits of our labor might not be realized or experienced until after we're done with them. So like you might be banging your head against the wall, trying to get a player to do something, trying to have them understand their role. And, you know, they might not get it until they're in 9th grade at Methacton or Perk Valley or Springford, but they're going to look back on their time, hopefully with us in our program, and understand that, you know, what we were trying to do did now makes sense. But, you know, some of the kids, they get it right away, and it's a great feeling. It's a rewarding feeling. But a lot of this is process oriented. And, you know, as coaches, it's a hard thing to do because, you know, the scoreboard is always on. But, you know, as coaches, we really can't keep score, you know, meaning, you know, I'm putting this effort in and this kid's not putting the effort in, or I'm teaching them this, but man, when we get to the tournament, they're not doing this. When we keep score as coaches, we lose. So, you know, that is kind of at the forefront. I sent you guys out our coaching handbook. Hopefully you had a chance to look at that. There's a lot in there, and, you know, no need to be overwhelmed. You know, I think the best coaches and the best leaders are practitioners. Like their concepts are based on practicality and simplicity. And when we're dealing with younger players and younger teams, we also want it to be simplistic. I just want to go over a couple things in that coaching handbook that I just want to crystallize to make sure we're all on the same page. And all of you do this stuff innately, or I would not have asked you to coach. You know, the people that are coaching for us, I'm super excited about, whether it's because of your coaching resume, your playing resume, or for some of you, the kids that you've raised, is truly indicative of how you would be as a coach as well. But the one question that I always go back to for our coaches at Souderton, our coaches at our camp, and obviously our AAU program as well, is what does it feel like to be coached by me? And that question, I would love for you to revisit and audit the experience of the players on your team of what does it feel like to be coached by me? And what does it feel like to be the second best player? What does it feel like to be the 9th best player? Those experiences are never going to be the same. The second best player is getting touches, getting shots, feeling good, being confident. And the 9th best player is reluctant, scared, lacks confidence. But if we are able to forge relationships, talk to that kid, and try to meet them where they're at, I do believe the experience can be beneficial for all. Those 6th to 10th best player on your roster, we call them the lost sheep at camp. Like, we want to find those lost sheep, and we want to engage those lost sheep, not to get biblical here, but we want to find them and make sure that they're having an enjoyable experience. And it takes 11 seconds before practice, after practice, during practice, of just engaging with them. Hey, what other sports do you play in this spring? What school do you go to? Do you have siblings? What do you think you're doing well this season? What do you think you need to work on this season? Just those levels of engagement go such a long way for a kid that's averaging 2.5 points a game. All of a sudden they go home and say, yeah, I talked to Coach Quinn, and this is what he said I need to work on. This is what he said I'm doing well. You know, because at the end of the day, there's two things that we want out of this. We want them to have fun, and we want them to get better. In order to have fun, you have to feel engaged. In order to get better, you have to feel some sort of success. And it all starts with that relationship. When it comes to the coach-player relationship, it's grounded on respect. We want it to be grounded on respect, and we want you guys to have open conversations and honest conversations with them. But please understand that of the 140 players that we have in our program, we have 14 teams. You know, there's a good number of players that might not be here on their own accord, right? Their parents are making them do this. They might not want to be here. So when we're delivering tough news, whether it's like, and a lot of this should be alleviated with the equal playing time because we're playing everybody the same amount. But when you're delivering feedback, it's always important that they can be upset with what you're saying. Hey, you need to do a better job of getting in position. Hey, you need to do a better job of sharing the ball. They can be upset with the message that you're delivering, but not the way you're messaging it. So the tone and things like that. You know, one of the other things that we talked about in that coaching handbook is filling the gap of communication. So with these players, high school players, college players, I tell our coaches all the time at Souderton, if there's a gap in communication, it will always be filled in with negativity. You think about like at your workplace or the players that you're coaching. The second you sub a player out of the game and then you don't engage with that player for the next 30 minutes, they fill it in with negativity. Coach thinks I stink. I'm not good enough. If you don't talk to a player during practice and it's an unstable player or a player that's not comfortable with the way they're performing, they will always fill that gap of communication in with negativity. Furthermore, we want to try to push that on our players and challenge our players. Hey, if someone takes a good shot, acknowledge that it was a good shot. Acknowledge that it was a good screen. if someone didn't see something, we even want to teach the fourth graders how to tell them, hey, here's how you would tell the player I was open. Here's how you tell the player, hey, maybe we can get a better shot next time. Like those teachable moments are so important in sport. And I think we can really maximize those moments by filling in the gap of communication, player to coach, but also player to player as well. When you sub a player out of the game, I know you guys are in this for the right reasons and coaching for the right reasons. You're certainly not coaching it for the money. I wish I could pay all you guys a lot of money. But when you're subbing players out of the game, I know you want to win, and I know your engagement in the game is super important, but take those 10 seconds just to bump them on their way out. Hey, good job doing this. Look at this next time. Even if it's a 5-in, 5-out situation, maybe it takes 40 seconds. That game is not going to be affected in that 40 seconds with you taking that time. Some of you have assistant coaches. You can delegate that. But also as the head coach, I think it's important to fill that in as well upon substitution. When it comes to coaching at any level, I'm just a firm believer in positive coaching. I think it elicits the best response and you get the most out of human beings. Everyone responds better to positivity. And auditing that, again, what does it feel like to be coached by me? Auditing, if you have 10 interactions with a kid at practice or your kids at practice, or if someone took a snapshot of the second quarter of your game and they kind of charted 10 interactions, how many would be positive and how many would be negative? Because even the fourth graders, the fifth graders, they know when they mess up. They know when they make a mistake, right? We want to tell them when they mess up. This isn't like all like flowers and lovey-dovey. Like we want to have a standard. We want to hold them to the standard. We want to teach them the right way to play. But please understand, like, when you criticize in public and you're screaming at them in public, it works backwards for 99% of human beings. So please, like the positive coaching is so important. It's exhausting sometimes, but at the end of the day, like we want them to get better. We want them to have fun. And I know in your heart, you want to win. I do believe that's going to put you in a better position to win ball games if you're positive, especially during games. We always talk about body language during games, and I've seen it. Like I watched so many games this year, youth sports. I've watched a ton of high school games. Like that body language on the sideline, it screams, it doesn't whisper. And like some of the best coaches, like if a kid misses a shot, like this, like two people look at you do this. The kid looks over and the parent looks over. And I'm a sports parent, and I've even seen it. My kid messes up, and I look right at the coach. You see how the coach responds. And man, when they see you respond that way, it's like just taking a shovel and piling on the negativity. And that next play gets very difficult for that kid. So it's tough because you're competitive and you know that was a bad pass, bad play, lazy play, but that body language is going to scream. So we got to try to be as stoic as possible in the face of adversity and in the face of mistakes, because they just take it to the 10th degree. Like most of the kids are going to take it that way. And try to be your own best coach. Like being your own best coach is kind of understanding what those habitual things that you do in response to mistakes and trying to curtail them, trying to make it into somehow a positive. As far as just like delivery and things, the one thing that I always like to talk about, and we're going to talk about practice in a second. And I'm like going the complete opposite of what I'm asking you to do, because I'm doing nothing but speaking here, and I apologize. There's a lot of talking. But coaching bullets, not paragraphs, right? We practice 2 times a week. Most of them are 2 times a week. Sometimes gym availability puts us at 1 time a week. So in an hour, like if we're coaching in paragraphs and having these long speeches, 2 things happen. One, it stifles productivity, but also we lose them. Like even the 7th and 8th graders, they can't handle like a 2-minute speech or a 2-minute tutorial. They really cannot handle it. Even my high school kids can't handle it. So we have to find a way to coach in bullets and not paragraphs. The other piece is one of our big things. I'm gonna dive into practice now. Like we want our practices to be crisp, fast, and we want an emphasis on skill development. We're going to ask every student to bring a basketball and a water bottle to practice, because I want that basketball in their hands. We have 140 players. Of the 140 players, there's 10 that train 6 days a week. All right. And I always tell our players, at the high school, teams get better at practice, but individuals get better on their own. I say that to inspire players to work on their own, but the reality is these kids are not working on their own. There's 10 of 140 probably. So that being said, I want to deliver on, we're going to dribble and shoot a lot each practice, not 45 minutes, but for that first 20 minutes, when they walk in the gym, I would love just energy, positivity, and bouncing and shooting, lots of it, quick, fast actions. And you don't need to be this architect of drills. Like you can do similar drills. You have 5 shooting drills, 5 dribbling drills, and use me as a resource, whatever you need as far as drills. But once they get familiar with the drills, then they can get in them really quickly and we can maximize our time. But most of you, all of you are going to have 3 baskets per practice. So that's 3 kids, 3.3 kids per basket if you have 10 kids. 3 kids at a basket, you can get a ton of shots up in a little amount of time, as well as dribbling. And when we're dribbling at game speed, we don't need to run suicides or 17s or whatever. Like we want to condition through our skill development. But when you're like planning a drill, I think it's so important to understand, just like coaching in bullets is better than coaching in paragraphs, like long lines stifle that progress too. So that's why always think 3. Like I have 3 baskets. How can I make this drill into 2 baskets or 3 baskets? Like the only drills that should be done at 1 basket would be 4-on-4 shell, 5-on-5 live actions. Everything else, like split them up, keep them moving, keep it hot. The other piece about practice is going back to the way we started is, what does it feel like to be coached by me? Like as a coach, I used to love just auditing where we are after 15 minutes and where we are after 20 minutes and looking at them and like, are their faces red? Are they dripping, soaking wet? Are they tired? Are they fatigued? That's a lot of it is on us and how we're pushing them, right? And the venue of which we are pushing them to get better. So, take stock of that 20 minutes in, like how many shots have we gotten up? How many bounces have we got up? Are they sweating? Like they should have a red face 20 minutes into this thing. When it comes to your offense and your defenses, you guys saw that, if I tell you you need to run this offense or you need to run this defense, in my experience as a coach and as an athletic director, there's a difference between empowerment and buy-in. Like if I'm going to say you need to buy into the Lithuanian ball screen action, or you need to buy into pack line defense, you're not going to really deploy it in the same verve and tenacity as if you were doing your own offense or your own defense. Okay. Meaning like if I empower you and tell you, hey, here's some things you can do, but ultimately it's going to be your decision of what you're comfortable with and what fits your personnel. Like holistically speaking, when I look at the 140 players, and thank you guys so much for helping me out with tryouts, because it's really hard. I mean, each team has like 2 solid players, 3 solid players, and the rest are really similar. I would call them C to B level players. When you're looking at our roster from a sheer athleticism standpoint, we're not jumping off the page. That being said, like that's why I put in there the pack line defense, because I don't think you need to be an overly athletic team to deploy those concepts. And it's built-in help, tertiary help, secondary help, man ball principles that are super easy to teach and super easy to reinforce. If you're a coach that's been coaching for 5 years and you want to jump in passing lanes and deny the ball, try it, have at it, right? And if you're excited about it, they're going to be excited about it. I'm all for, like, if you want to press as an alternate option, especially for the older players, the 7th and 8th graders, go for it. If you're comfortable teaching the press, press is super effective in AAU basketball. And people say that zone is killing youth basketball. I don't think there's anything more killing youth basketball than pressure, full court pressure. It is destroyed. I've luckily at the ICBA level, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, you can't do it for the last 2 minutes, but you could be up 11 points, which is like 50 in a high school game, and they can press and it turns into an absolute shit show. Excuse my language. This is being recorded too. But it's just a disaster. And I'll never forget Raph in the fall was playing great amoeba defense, man defense, Rick Majerus defense. And like 3 weeks left, he's like, yo, I started pressing and like we're killing everybody. So it definitely works. But for the tournaments that we have engaged in, the ones that we're going to be participating in, I reached out to the tournament directors and I made a recommendation for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and even 6th grade that we could press last 2 minutes. And, they obviously have their rules in place and things like that. But I am going to be reaching out to the local organizations that we're going to be playing against for the 4th, 5th, 6th graders. And I'm going to ask them if we could press the last 2 minutes because it's such a disaster and it's so bad for basketball. You go to a high school game, if you have 25 high school games in our area, 25 high school teams, there's 2 teams that it's part of their identity. College basketball, watch college basketball. Who's pressing 94 feet, 40 minutes? Nobody. And so we're not even preparing them for anything because the kids are not strong enough to make those passes or whatever it might be. That being said, if you want to press and that other team's pressing, have at it. It's not going to go against what I'm trying to do here. it just makes the game really ugly. But if they're fighting us and we're down 20-4 and you got to do it, do it. And when at the end here, we'll open this up for questions and feedback, and you guys can share what you have as far as that goes. As far as offense goes, I think having 2 quick hitters, 2 plays is important. Having 2 baseline out of bounds, having 1 sideline out of bounds, certainly having a press breaker to prepare for AAU basketball. But ultimately, I would love to have some structureless basketball and try to implement playing fast. I said I don't think we're an overly athletic team, but I don't think we're a big team either as far as if I just look across the board, the 140 players. So I do think you can cheat a little bit and play like a sideline fast break, whether make or miss, and you can get out in front of that pressure. But it really is it's a commitment each and every practice to work on that transition break. I sent you guys the Paul Westhead 5 out, 2 sidelines, big rim runs, 4 passes in, and point guards just catching and going and passing up the sideline. I love that fast break, that transition break. It's super easy. It's interchangeable. It's somewhat structureless. And I do think if you can create that as part of our identity, I do think you could find success with that. When it comes to an actual offensive set, I sent you guys 2 or 3 different things. We have the Lithuanian ball screen, which I love. I don't love it for 4th and 5th grade. I do think it's going to take some time. But as far as just like a 5-out motion where we're passing and cutting, weak side fill, I do like that for numerous reasons. I want everyone to kind of touch the ball. I want some structureless basketball, and it's so simple too. And you can do the ball screen and the handoff off of that. If you pass to the wing and you go ball screen, we're fill and replace out of that. If you dribble handoff, we're fill and replace out of that. And it's really cool, but please understand that you have to train ugly before it's going to look good. Like you're going to the first weekend's going to be brutal. But a lot of these kids, I would say 6th grade and up, have been exposed to a 5-out semblance of a motion offense in some way, shape, or form. So some of them are going to pick it up more than others. But a lot of them have been exposed to running 7 plays, and they've just been learned how to run plays instead of really how to play. And I would much hedge on the side of teaching them how to play while having that stuff in your back pocket. And I do think 2 plays, at least for the first month, is enough. If you feel like they get those 2 plays down and you want to add more to it, have at it. But I would still like a base offense that you can always go to, make or miss, offensive rebound, whatever it might be, that you can always go to. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for practice. And if you guys are at the tryouts, our first 30 minutes of the tryouts, now I don't expect you to do 30 minutes of it, but that's the pace and energy. When someone walks into your practice, my hope would be that they would feel that energy, and it's just an urgency to practice. And kids are happy to be there, and we're clapping and we're hype, and it's a short time, but I think in an hour we can get so much done for that practice. I think I mentioned that we don't allow parents at practice. Some might try to come, and I'm fine if they're there, but I put it out to parents that I don't want them there because I do think it's a distraction, and then they keep score as well, and we just don't really need that. As far as games go, when I send something out to the parents, I'm going to send something out next week, a reminder about our first opening picture day and intro day. I'm going to talk about bringing a basketball, bringing a water bottle, can't come to practice, and then also equal playing time. So for the games, a lot of the roles and things like that should be eliminated because of the equal playing time. And, I'm almost happy when a kid doesn't show up so that we have 9 kids or 8 kids when a kid's going to play lacrosse. Honestly, it makes it easier for you guys. And in the fall, knock on wood, God willing, we had 60 kids and we had 6 teams, and we had 0 negative experiences as far as feedback from parents or players. And I don't know if Sammy's on here. I don't think he could make it, but he lost nearly every darn game that guy coached, and the kids had a blast. And we had 6 out of 10 kids come out here in the spring. And a lot of that is part of it's the equal playing time, but a lot of it's relationship, it's positivity, it's energy, and filling that gap of communication. As far as the tournaments go, you guys know the deal by now. I've kind of said it, we really don't know the schedule till Thursday, Friday before. They're gonna email you on Wednesday. Do you have the schedule yet? Then they're gonna email you on Thursday. Do you have the schedule yet? I've told them this multiple times in emails, but people do not read. So just be prepared for that. You could add that to your introductory email. I may have wrote that in there for you guys. But when I enter us into a tournament, I basically delineate what the level I believe we're at. If anyone on this call thinks that you're an A-level team, text me after and we can talk. But for the most part, I'm putting us in, I'm asking that we put it in a B bracket, for some of us a C level bracket. And I don't see the point. Like, we had certain situations in the fall, and there's nothing controlling this, but like, we would be put in a situation where I said we're a B level team and we won by 30 in the fall. I said we're a B level team and we lose by 30 in the fall. So please understand, like, this is a racket. Like, AAU is really, really difficult to judge. And I think these tournament directors are doing the best they can. But like, at the end of the day, I said we want to do two things. We want to get better and want them to have fun. Like, losing by 30 is not fun, right? And I want to be put in a position where they feel good about themselves. Like, they're going into the summer league with their middle school or their high school, and they're feeling good about themselves. And we do that through winning basketball games. So I'd rather win by 10 at a C level tournament, win every single game by 10 at a C level tournament, than play B level and go 2-16. So all that to say, I'm putting us in tournaments that I think are appropriate level. But please understand, you're going to show up and there's going to be a 6'6" kid that says he's 12. And that's just the reality of it. As far as parent communication, you guys saw in there, God willing, with the playing time issue, it stifles a lot. Like, if everyone's playing the same, it really solves a lot of these issues. But if you have a parent email you, text you, and you're unsure about how to respond, like, if the response elicits something other than yes or no or a schedule, I'm always of the mindset to pick up the phone and call, because you could put together a beautifully crafted email with the assist to turnover ratio and the plus minus, and they are going to pick that email apart. They're going to read what they want to read, and what they don't get is tone. All right. And every single one of you is coaching for a reason, and I'm asking you to coach for a reason. I think if you speak to them on the phone, they're able to hear your perspective, your intent, and your passion for their kid, and it just goes a much further way. That being said, if you are uncomfortable with anything that a parent's giving you, let me make that phone call. I'll make every single one. If we get 50 phone calls, I'll make all 50. And follow up with you about how I think is best way to navigate this. And most of the time, like, I think it's better that you speak to the parent, because you're at practice and you're in the huddle. When the fourth grader goes home because they went 1 for 7 and they want to blame it on other athletes or the coach, oftentimes the story's misconstrued of which they're saying to their parents. So you're able to say, no, here's what we do at practice, or here's what I actually said in the huddle. And I can understand why he heard this, because he was upset, and this is how we respond. But, they're able to hear your perspective, which I think can really go a long way. But please understand, like, any issues you have, please let me take that off your plate. I do it every single day at Souderton. Worst part of the job, but you guys don't need to deal with any of this. Honestly, like, I'm very grateful and thankful that you're coaching. I would want, my kids are going to be playing for you guys. Like, I have 2 kids in the program, and I would want my kids to play for all you guys. And it's a blessing. And I know it's, as I started with today, it's oftentimes a thankless job. I do think AAU is in a little bit different space where, they've been in a pressure situation. I mean, I was at a basketball game last night. One of our coaches who's on here now, 3rd grade ICBA championship. You got every parent on the sideline as tense as possible. And these kids are stressed out of their mind. One kid, because I'm two rows behind the coach. One kid would not even go into the game. Said his anxiety's killing him. 3rd grade. I didn't know what the word anxiety meant in 3rd grade. Like, so I'm hopeful and prayerful that this next 2.5 months can be this is basketball. This is fun. I get to go to practice, and these guys are loving on me, and I get to play with free and have a good time. That's overall what we want to do here. So that's a lot of talk in there. Does anybody have any questions or any comments or any feedback, whether it's what you see in your AAU experience or anything? Jump in.
So I'll just say something about like practices, and I don't know what the experience was about or at Christopher Dock, but just try to help like as coaches help each other out, but like from that transition to when a new team's coming in, and just because like Dennis said, those practices are quick, and you don't want to be the bad guy yelling at kids who show like we're all showing up at different times, and at Central Swinksville, there's not really anywhere to go, and so like you just got to enter the gym and kind of hang out in that, especially when the courts are split up. So just try to do the best you can, is like trying to keep kids off the baskets while other coaches are trying to run their practices and stuff. Because like I said, I don't, a couple times I remember I had to say stuff to kids who were shooting like while we were trying to practice and like scrimmage up and down. and you just don't want to be the bad guy. So as much as you can do to just help out and be, I don't know, cognizant of all the other coaches and what they're trying to do, I think it'll just help everything just run more smooth.
I love that. Yeah, you're not a good bad guy, Raph. You've never been a bad guy. Yeah, and like we go 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. So like, and that's also like a 5-minute period where you could just huddle up with your team, do a team building exercise. What school do you go to? What's your favorite sneaker? What's one thing nobody knows about you? Like using those little moments, even if it's 5 minutes, where they're just sitting down on the ground and linking up with each other. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Best of luck to the teams that are playing this weekend at Penn State. Best of luck to the ICBA teams in the championship. And thanks you guys so much for logging on here. Have an awesome rest of the night.